Hi everyone, the article I'll be talking about is called Emergent Learning and Interactive Media Artworks, Parameters of Interaction for Novice Groups. This is a really important article because it deals with the differences between perspective learning and emergent learning. Growing up in school, we may have seen perspective learning in our classrooms. However, we have to move away from it, and we can use a lot of web technology to enhance our teaching. So what is perspective learning? Perspective learning is when it is very teacher-directed content and the knowledge is predetermined for the learners. So the teacher comes in planning out what they want the students to get out of a lesson, and that is exactly what happens in class. So the learning activity is restricted by what the teacher has planned. It is non-interactive, so students aren't able to interact with one another. Emergent learning is the balance between teacher-directed and student-directed content. However, it comes with multiple modes of interaction. A quote that I came across in the reading, which does a great job summarizing it, says that emergent learning is learning which arises out of the interaction between a number of people and resources, in which the learners organize and determine both the process and to some extent the learning destinations, both of which are unpredictable. The interaction is in many senses self-organized, but it nevertheless requires some constraint and structure. It may include virtual or physical networks or both. So this is basically saying that the teacher is still there to facilitate what is going on. So the teacher may organize and determine what they want to happen. However, where the destination goes depends on the learners in the classroom, since the learners have to take an active role in participating and contributing to one another. It is also said that the content is not just delivered to the students, but the learners have to work together to construct it. And the learning is not bound by specific outputs, and the students are able to have a say in what happens and what goes on. The evaluation of how this learning takes place, an important part of evaluating is the quality of the interaction. So the quality of interaction deals with the ability that it interests its learners, how involved they are, and if it alters their perceptions. So this diagram shows the differences between perspective versus emergent learning. At the top, there's teacher-directed content. On the bottom, there's student-directed content. This side there is interaction, and on this side there is no interaction. So we want the ideal area would be over here, since we want it to be student and teacher directed content, since we need the teacher to facilitate it, and it also needs to be student directed, and at the same time there has to be multiple modes of interaction. So in the article they used Flickr, and the assignment they used to show emergent learning was a narrative learning task in which they had to create photo streams depicting the life of toys. So now we'll go through the different quadrants. So in quadrant 1, it would have been teacher-directed with no interaction task. So the students are told that they have to create 6 photos. They're given the template to use to write the narrative. They're provided the character that they have to use, and they're told where and at what angles to take the photos at. The students don't have to record their interactions with their peers. Once they're done, they're done. Quadrant 2 is student-directed with no interaction task. So the teacher input is limited. Students are able to choose their own characters and create photo narratives using media techniques. However, there still is no interaction, so students just do their own work and move on. In quadrant 3, the content is teacher-directed. However, there is interaction. Students are able to select their own characters. They have to follow procedures that are given to them to create the photo narrative. Students are able to comment and contribute to one another's work. So in this case with the photo streams, They would have to create the narrative, however, leave out the ending. So then their classmates would watch the narratives and then come up with their own endings to them. This only requires one interaction, which is creating that one ending to one student's narrative. Then there is quadrant 4, which is student-directed content with interaction. So once again, there's limited teacher input. Students are able to comment and contribute to others' work. However, in this case, there are no parameters set for how much contribution is required. So it is just like social networks where students are able to just log on whenever and comment and share whatever they want. They're not told when, where, why, how they have to do it. Alright, so the ideal area that we should strive to be in is where it's teacher and student directed content with multiple nodes of interaction. So in this case, students would have to identify their own characters, take pictures at their own angles. They would write up their narrative, upload it, and then as the additional steps, they would have to take more shots of their own character and then give it to their classmates, who would then include these characters in their own narratives. So this would become like joint narratives in which it would involve more than one character. So the characters would interact with each other and the students would have to work with each other and then bounce ideas off each other. So we need to start using Web 2.0 technology to enhance our teaching. In this article, they use Flickr as an example. However, there are a lot more technologies that could be used. Some other ones mentioned in the article are wikis and blogs. There are also some educational platforms that could be used, such as Blackboard or Edmodo. Thank you for watching, and I think you should definitely go and read this article.